Good morning, children. Welcome to today's virtual session of 9th Standard Political Science. Let us begin today's session with a very beautiful quote. Our truest life is when we are in dreams awake. Children, dreams give us a vision to work on. A person without dreams is as good as an animal. So, the best in life comes when you watch big dreams with open eyes. Dreams keep us inspired. All the big achievers of world were big dreamers. They dreamed of impossible things and worked hard to convert them into reality. Children, yesterday I introduced the topic the United Nations. You came to know that after the First World War, the League of Nations was established as a mechanism to establish world peace. However, the League of Nations did not succeed. In the Second World War, the use of nuclear weapons was made. The idea that such destructive wars should be stopped and that it is the collective responsibility for all nations to maintain peace took roots. The United Nations was established to instill this understanding among all nations. Children, what have you come to know about United Nations? That the United Nations, it is an international organization and it was established to ensure peace and security at the international level. Yesterday, I discussed the chronology of the establishment of the United Nations. You came to know that the United Nations is the world's largest international organization. It is an international organization of all sovereign nations, and in the beginning there were 50 countries. The number has gone up to 193. Children, I told you the objectives of the United Nations, the duties of member countries, principles of United Nations, structure of the United Nations, and you came to know the United Nations Charter describes the structure and functioning of the organization. The United Nations has 6 main organs: General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, International Court of Justice, Trusteeship Council, and Secretariat. Also, you came to know about the other affiliated organizations and then about General Assembly and Security Council I discussed in detail. Also, you came to know about the function of General Assembly and Security Council. Children, today I continue the topic from Economic and Social Council. So, it is necessary to open page number 80 in your History Political Science textbook and you should listen to me carefully. The main objective of this organization is to coordinate the economic and social policies of the United Nations. So, children, here this organization means Economic and Social Council. The council has 54 members. They are selected by the General Assembly. Each member has a tenure of 3 years, and each year 1/3 of the members are newly chosen. Decisions are taken by majority vote. So, children, the council consists of 54 members selected by the General Assembly for a term of 3 years. Every year, 1/3 of the members are elected. The decisions are taken by majority vote, and now you will come to know about the functions of Economic and Social Council. Children, initiate discussions at the global level on issues like poverty, unemployment, economic and social inequality, and suggest policies to tackle these problems. Next one, discuss issues like women's questions, empowerment of women, human rights, fundamental freedoms, global trade, health related issues, etc., and make decisions. Make efforts to establish cultural and educational cooperation at the international level. It is another function of Economic and Social Council, and also to coordinate the functioning of the different organization working in association with the United Nations. That is another function. So, children, these are the functions of Economic and Social Council. What have you come to know? To initiate discussions at the global level on poverty, unemployment, etc. To discuss and take decision on empowerment of women, human rights and freedom, global trade, health related issues. To make efforts to establish international cultural and educational cooperation, and to coordinate the functioning of the affiliated organizations. Now, the next organ, that is Secretariat. Children, the Secretariat has the responsibility of carrying out the administrative task of the United Nations. The chief of the Secretariat is the Secretary General. He is selected by the General Assembly and the Security Council. His tenure is of 5 years. Children, the Secretariat is the administrative organ of the United Nations. It is headed by the Secretary General. He is elected by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council for 5 years. Now, you will come to know about the functions. To call international conferences on global problems like climate change, human rights, disarmament, etc. To organize the meetings of the General Assembly and Security Council. To compile information, to supply information to the media. So, children, these are the functions of the Secretary General. The first one, to call international conferences on global problems like climate change, human rights, disarmament, etc. The second one, to organize the meetings of the General Assembly and Security Council. The next one, to compile information and to supply information to the media. These are the functions of the Secretary General. Now the next part, that is International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice means the judicial branch of the United Nations. The International Court of Justice is located at The Hague in the Netherlands. There are 15 judges in the International Court of Justice. They are chosen by the General Assembly and the Security Council. Every judge has tenure of 9 years. So children, International Court of Justice is located at Hague in the Netherlands. It is the judicial branch of the United Nations. It consists of 15 judges elected by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council for a period of 9 years. Now, I would like to discuss about the function of International Court of Justice. To settle the dispute between two or more member nations of the United Nations, to interpret international law authentically, to advise the various organs or subsidiary bodies of the United Nations about legal issues. Children, so the functions are to settle the disputes between two or more member nations of the United Nations, to interpret international law authentically, and to advise the various organs or subsidiary bodies of the United Nations about legal issues. Children, here I want to discuss about International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court is an intergovernmental organization and an international tribunal. Its headquarters are at The Hague in the Netherlands. The International Criminal Court has the jurisdiction to prosecute individuals for international crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes that are of concern to the international community. So, children, the International Criminal Court is an international tribunal. Its headquarters are at The Hague in the Netherlands. It has the jurisdiction to prosecute individuals for international crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. Now, I am going to discuss about the Trusteeship Council. Children, after the Second World War, the territories that were undeveloped were placed under the responsibility of the developed nations. The latter were supposed to help bring about the development of the trust territories, and once they attain independence from their colonies, help establish democracy. The work of the Trusteeship Council is over as there are no trust territories left. The work of the Trusteeship Council ended with Palau got independence on 1st November 1994. It is an island in the Pacific Ocean 500 meters east of Philippines. So children, the responsibility of administration and development of the undeveloped territories was assigned to the developed countries as trust territories. So, children, the responsibility of administration and development of the undeveloped territories was assigned to the developed countries as trust territories. Once the trust territories attain independence, help them to establish democracy. With the grant of independence to Palau Island in the Pacific on the 1st November 1994, the work of the Trusteeship Council has ended. Children, now you will come to know about UNICEF and UNESCO. What is UNICEF? UNICEF is an affiliated organization of the United Nations. It works towards making nutritious food and health care available to children. Several workshops were organized in India to find out measures to overcome malnutrition among babies and children. So, children, UNICEF, that is United Nations Children's Fund, works towards making nutritious food and health care available to children. It has organized many workshops in India, find out measures to overcome malnutrition among babies and children. And what is UNESCO? United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. It works towards peace and security in the world. It does so by promoting cooperation between member countries in the fields of education, science and culture. So, children, what is the full form of UNESCO? United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Now, you will come to know about Millennium Development Goals. Children, the United Nations member nations came together in 2000 and decided upon the development goals for the new millennium. Some of the important goals are as follows: to eliminate poverty and hunger, to make the facilities of primary education available, to bring about women's empowerment, reduce infant mortality rate, to take special care of the health of pregnant women, to fight diseases like AIDS, malaria, etc., to protect the environment and increase the cooperation between developed and developing countries. A time period has been decided to achieve these goals. India has made considerable progress in the direction of achieving the Millennium Development Goals with the help of UNICEF and UNESCO. So, children, in the year 2000, the United Nations member nations decided development goals for the new millennium. The first one, to eliminate poverty and hunger, to make available the facilities of primary education, to bring about women's empowerment, to reduce infant mortality rate, to take special care of the health of pregnant women, to fight diseases like malaria, etc., to protect the environment and increase the cooperation between developed and developing countries. So, children, still now, today you have come to know about Economic and Social Council. Also, I have discussed about the functions of Economic and Social Council. Then you have come to know about Secretariat, that is the administrative organ of the United Nations. Also, I have discussed about the functions of the Secretary General. Then the International Court of Justice, it was discussed. It is the judicial branch of the United Nations. Then you have come to know about International Criminal Court and the Trusteeship Council. Here I have discussed about UNICEF, that is an affiliated organization of the United Nations. It works towards making nutritious food and health care available to children. And another organization I have discussed, that is UNESCO. It is another affiliated organization of the United Nations, works towards peace and security in the world by promoting cooperation between member countries in the fields of education, science, and culture. Children, also the Millennium Development Goals, it was discussed. Now you will come to know about United Nations and preservation of peace. Children, the objective of the United Nations is to settle international conflict peacefully. The United Nations Charter lays down the ways and means to be employed to achieve this goal. It includes appointing an intermediary acceptable to the nations involved in the conflict, use the legal procedure, appoint an arbitrator to solve the dispute if needed, to take recourse to military means and ensure that conflict will not occur again. In modern times, human security has been threatened by terrorism, racist and religious conflict. As a result, the function of securing peace of the United Nations has acquired a lot of importance. The United Nations makes efforts to ensure that violence does not erupt in strife-torn areas and normalcy. It is restored as soon as possible by, for example, starting schools, creating awareness among the people about human rights, make social, economic, and political facilities available, conduct elections, etc. So, children, United Nations and the preservation of peace. Here you have come to know that the objective of the United Nations is to settle international conflicts peacefully. The United Nations Charter lays down the ways and means to be employed to achieve this goal. The United Nations makes efforts to ensure that violence does not erupt in the strife-torn areas and normalcy is restored at the earliest. It does so by starting schools, creating awareness among the people about human rights, make social, economic, and political facilities available, conduct elections, etc. Children, now I am going to discuss about the last part of the topic, that is the United Nations peacekeeping. The peacekeeping activity of the United Nations involves creating appropriate circumstances favorable for bringing about permanent peace in strife-torn areas. The peacekeeping forces help these areas to progress towards peace. In conflict ridden areas, security is provided and at the same time help is extended for establishing peace. The United Nations takes up peacekeeping as one of the tasks for safeguarding and fostering peace in the world. Following things are other actions the United Nations may take supplementary to peacekeeping activities: prevention of conflict and mediation, actually establish peace, implement the measures of protecting peace, and peace building. So, children, here you have come to know about United Nations peacekeeping. The peacekeeping activity of the United Nations involves creating circumstances favorable for bringing about permanent peace in the strife-torn areas. The peacekeeping forces are sent to these areas to restore normalcy. The other supplementary activities are prevention of conflict and mediation, actually establish peace, implement the measures of protecting peace, and peace building. Now, children, you will come to know the United Nations and India. India had participated in the different conferences that were held before the establishment of the United Nations. India has participated in bringing issues like decolonization, disarmament, racial segregation on the United Nations platform. In 1946, India was the first country to raise the question of racism in the United Nations. India has always led the discussion about the problems of undeveloped and developing countries. India has always sent her troops to participate in the United Nations peacekeeping forces. Not just that, India has sent an all woman peacekeeping force as well. It is evident from the foregoing analysis that India makes serious efforts to solve international conflicts by peaceful means. So, children, India is a founder member of the United Nations. India has raised the issues like decolonization, disarmament, racism, and the issues of the developing countries on the platform of the United Nations. India was the first country to raise the questions of racism in 1946. India has always sent her troops to participate in the United Nations peacekeeping forces. India has sent an all women peacekeeping force as well. India makes serious efforts to solve international conflicts by peaceful means. So, children, today you have come to know about United Nations and preservation of peace. Then I have discussed United Nations peacekeeping and the United Nations and India. So, children, now the topic the United Nations, it is discussed completely. Now you should go through the topic in detail from your textbook. You should read the topic from the beginning of the lesson. Also, you should read your textbook in detail. Listen to the video carefully. If you have any doubt regarding the topic, you can ask in the live session. The question answers related to the topic, you will get the PDF in the next week. Before that, go through the textbook, read the topic in detail. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.